there's so many facets to it, right? Like, I think a big part of it starts in hiring. Uh,
If there's an issue when it comes to race and policing, what kind of changes can be made on a national level in police departments? Hi, I'm Brown Theory, narrator, creator, and co producer of Testimony, a Musician's Story, an audio biography podcast that features various musicians. Now, we did a special episode on race that includes a black rapper, a white rapper, and a white Dallas Fort Worth police officer. Officer Ben addresses that question.
there's so many facets to it, right? Like, I think a big part of it starts in hiring. As a part of the overall process to become a police officer, is the psychological evaluation. And as it is right now, we do a 6 hour, and this is just my department and the majority of the departments in the area that I'm at, but we do a 6 hour evaluation of an applicant before they're moving to the next round, and that's assuming they pass it. So we have a lot of those measures initially, but after they've been out on the street for a while, unless they've specifically gone through a traumatic event, they may not receive any follow-up. And so I think that would be an interesting avenue to explore, is to encourage people, to just follow up with mental health professionals. Because I know for myself, right, like when police officers see the worst of the worst and they see it on a consistent basis, multiple times a week, crimes against children and people that are just broken, and where they're at, that takes a toll on us. Like, we don't always afford the opportunity just to leave it at the call itself. Sometimes that stuff comes home with us. And even me, as a rookie police officer, I was a youth pastor, and I remember in training a kid that had hung himself, and he looked very, very much like a kid that I would have in my own youth group, and that stuck with me. And that was something that I had to work through, and I think we as officers can become jaded if we don't seek the proper releases for those emotions, instead of just keeping it within, or abusing some type of substance, alcohol or pills or whatever else. But for me, coming home and spending time with family and being part of my body at church has been an incredible rejuvenation for me to move through those events. So I think that would be a big part of it, is kind of that mental health assistance, because it's just got a bad stigma, just like it does in the military. If you say, hey, I'm dealing with this, they pull you off the front lines and you're treated different. In Texas, if I'm not mistaken, we are required to do basically 80 hours of training every 2 years. And we do go through, a racial equality and racial profiling class that talks about the dangers and how to recognize it and just general awareness. But typically that's not always a recurring class. But I think, even more than training, like I think it's a personal thing. And I think that the people carry with them, the thoughts of their friends, the thoughts of their family that they were raised in. And a lot of it is fear-based, right? Like I said earlier, if we're not around certain people that are different from us, we fear it because we aren't around it as much. And so for me, that's one of the things that throughout this whole, past 6 months, just in the community division with law enforcement, and even longer than that, but for me personally, really in the past 6 months, I really made it a point to really try to branch out and meet people of different backgrounds, because that's how I learn, and I think that takes away some of the predisposition that I have.
What did you think of Officer Ben's response? Are there some changes that can be implemented? Be sure to check out the full episode at testimonystories.com. Now, we weave together clips like you just heard along with my narrative and really dope music about race in America. It's a 30-minute podcast. Part 1's 30 minutes, part 2 is 30 minutes, so it's a full 60 minutes total. But like I said, you can break it down, part 1, part 2. testimonystories.com. Go check it out.